Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Dr. Aumatma Simmons, who is a double board certified naturopathic endocrinologist with nearly 20 years of experience in the fertility space. She has been helping couples who are struggling with complex fertility issues to conceive and bring healthy babies home. We had a fantastic conversation around how to approach complex fertility cases when you have been struggling to conceive for 2 or more years, why so many protocols are failing when we're only looking at research and not using your clinical experience to personalize those protocols, and then how to continue to advocate for yourself even though you've been struggling to conceive for a long time. I hope you enjoyed this episode just as much as I did. Thank you for being here, Dr. Matma. It's really nice to connect again. We actually connected a couple of years ago, and I didn't connect the dots that you were the same person.
Dr. Jane, it's so great to see you again. You're such a wonderful light in the natural fertility world, so I'm glad to be here today.
Ditto. Let's talk. Let's jump right in. How long have you been practicing in the fertility space? Tell people a little bit about who you are.
Sure, yeah. So, naturopathic doctor for 20 years, 15 years of those specialized in fertility and recurrent pregnancy loss.
How did you get into the fertility space?
So I was married to this man who wanted to start having children, and we were newly married. He starts talking about babies, and I'm like, oh my God, no. And my uterus is literally screaming at me. And I was like, I don't fully understand what's happening here, but I need to pause and reflect. And what I ended up reflecting on was really that I do want to have children one day, but it's very clear that they're not with him, which then threw me into a whole tailspin because here I am 10 years deep into a relationship, another 10 years to like find someone and finally get married and do all the things. So I'm doing the math in my head and I was like, I don't have enough time. What I learned in school was fertility is going to drop off of a cliff at 35. So when I came to that realization, I was like, oh crap, what am I going to do for my fertility? And egg freezing was just coming onto the market at the time. And the success rates at that time were like 1% of frozen eggs turning into real live births. And I was like, that's a really expensive 1% chance. So what else could I do? And that's really when I started digging into research and realizing that maybe that the 35 thing was more of a myth than reality. And once I started questioning that, it was like everything kind of dominoed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, I learned that in naturopathic school, it was like, oh, there's like some, things that you can do for egg quality, and that's kind of it. And here I was like kind of breaking down everything. And I was like, actually, I think there's a lot that we can offer. And I'm going to just like do it on myself. And then before I knew it, I ended up in a fertility clinic, in an acupuncture fertility clinic. The head doctor there was like, I need help, just come by. And I was like, okay, walk in, 500 files on my table. And she was like, you can
I
go
need
through
help.
all of these files, go through these files, figure out who you can help for fertility, and then call them up and get them in the office and work with them. And I was like, are you serious? So I was like researching all this stuff for myself, and all of a sudden I have like 500 people that I could practice on. And these are people that she had struggled with for greater than 3 years on average. So she was like, if you can help them, listen, I'll be so happy, right? Like I am
Right.
not
Yeah.
helping, something is not working for them. And we ended up like helping a really high percentage of those 500 people. Within months they were getting pregnant, and that's when I was like, oh my God, I think I love this.
Yeah.
I think I'm obsessed with helping people get pregnant. And that's really where my passion started, out of this like whole going through it myself and kind of researching and figuring out like, oh, there's all this stuff we could do, why not? And then being
Yeah.
able to like put it into practice quickly and seeing what works and what doesn't work. And like some of the, I don't know if you've come across this, but I feel like a lot of the research 15 years ago was like DHEA for everyone, 75 milligrams. And there were like IVF doctors recommending this, right? And I'm reading through the research and I'm like, it's true, that's what the research says. But in reality, like people would come in I'd put them on those doses and they would get worse. Their hormones would get crappy. Or
They'd grow a beard.
yeah, like it was just weird symptoms that I was like, something's not right about this. And I really started parsing out like, where is it that it works and where is it that it doesn't work? So, what felt like a lot of generic recommendations for the most basic supplements, CoQ10, DHEA, I was like, oh, this is not like global things. This is very specifically applied to
The
specific
person sitting in front of me.
and like there isn't a list that I'm going to magically give and it's not going to be the same list for every single person. So how do I like work through that and really help parse out where it works, where it doesn't work, where it works, where it doesn't work, and really get the consistency of results that people want without the protocolness of what was happening in the fertility world at the time.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Can I bring you back to like, how did you know your partner wasn't the partner you wanted to? Because we see this in the fertility space all the time where couples get to us and they're just like trying for so long, spending so much money on IVF and all of these things. And I'm like, do you guys even like each other? Do you know what I mean? Like, they almost
Yeah,
have put these blinders on. And I think it's just a hard conversation. There's a couple that I'm thinking about right now that I'm working with where I'm like, I don't know if you guys want to have a baby together. I'm questioning this.
right.
And whatever, there's no amount of, Tutka or choline or CoQ10 that I can give you when the body feels so out of alignment. And I mean, for women, I think in a relationship, if she doesn't feel safe, that nervous system is, and not like physical safety, but like she just doesn't trust him. It doesn't vibe. It's not the right. I'd
Yeah.
love for you to touch on that before we go into all the protocol stuff that you're talking about, because I love it. It's exactly what I've been trying to preach as well.
Yeah, I think it's a really beautiful question because yes, I've seen those people as well. And I almost feel like some of those patients who I've had where I've seen them as a couple and intuitively I feel like they're not a match, they will come to that realization and then have a baby with someone else just fine,
Mhm.
right? And those people, I have wondered if the reason they were not getting pregnant is the mismatch of
Yeah.
energy of how she feels in the
Microbiome,
relationship.
anything.
And for me, I think that realization was very visceral. I could literally feel my uterus screaming at me. And literally every time he said baby, my uterus would be like, no. And I was like, oh, what is that? Like, but like in retrospect, I realized that I was feeling that every single month. This was not a new feeling. I
Yeah.
had overridden it with this like we're perfect on paper kind of thing. And I was like, what do you mean? What? We're perfectly made for each other. Look at all the things that are exactly the same.
Right. Look at our
And
values.
yeah, right. And like, oh, but I love him. And all of these things that were kind of fabricated by my desire for a relationship
Right.
in the context of here are the qualities that I want in a guy, and he like checked all the boxes. But in reality, there was a really big mismatch of how I felt within the relationship. And I didn't realize it till I met my now husband, who is the exact opposite in every possible way and doesn't fit any of the things. Yet he's the perfect person for me to be with. It's really bizarre that I've had those like two very different
Yep.
experiences in my life because yeah, like just how safe I feel in this relationship is very different from how I felt in that previous relationship. And my body felt it long before I did.
Oh,
My
yeah.
my cycles were out of whack. I was having these like crazy migraines all the time. Um, I was in my early 30s. I felt like shit, absolute shit. And here I was like naturopathic doctor, right? I should be able to fix this for myself. And
More CoQ10.
right, more
More
supplements.
curcumin. Nope.
There was no like out supplementing what my body was
Yes.
truly showing me.
Yeah. I love that because it took me, I had a hard time finding my husband as well because I kept attracting the wrong person. But I had, IBS and anxiety, and I had the stubborn weight that I just like killing yourself at the gym and going through all the yo-yo diets. And then like when my husband and I got together, I'm like, I couldn't tell you how I lost the weight. I couldn't tell you how my IBS went away and how my anxiety. It was literally just I woke up and I'm like, this is not a problem anymore. And it just wasn't. It was like over that. So when I'm writing a protocol for IBS now, I'm just like, let me see what else is going on before I go. Because don't get me wrong, obviously we have some beautiful tools in our toolbox to be able to support
Yeah.
IBS and understand what's really happening. But I did all those things and they didn't really work for me. And that's my hope. Like in the fertility space, just because you tried something and it didn't work, it doesn't mean that natural medicine doesn't work. It doesn't
Mhm.
mean that your body has failed you and
Mhm.
that you are broken. It actually means we need something that's a completely different approach and might not come in a pill or in a
Yeah,
bottle.
absolutely. I think one of my very early patients was this couple who had been on that journey, on the fertility journey for 10 years. They had been
Yep.
trying. And I remember working with them for like 6 months, and we did all of the physical things. This man, he was a firefighter. He had zero sperm. It was like a long shot by all the things that I knew at the time, and it would still be a long shot even 15 years later.
Hmm.
But I was like, well, like we'll give it a try. I don't know what's going to happen. And I remember them going through our mind body portion of the plan that we have for people. And they came out on the other side and they're like, thank you so much. This is the best thing we've ever done. And we're really clear that we no longer want to have a child. And I was like, wait, what? And they were like, we are so, so, so grateful to you for getting us off this 10-year roller coaster that we've been on.
Yep.
And I was like, I'm so confused. You guys are not pregnant. You're not like anywhere, like it's not getting better.
Yep.
And, and they were like, no, what is really clear for us is that we have both been doing this for the other person and we love each other dearly, but we don't need a child to prove that we love each other to the other person, right? And they were like, it's so great that we're finally like
Yes.
realizing that we're both in the same place and we're both doing this for each other, and like it's exhausting and we're ready to get our lives back. And like I just remember that conversation so distinctly because for the first moment I was like success can look very different for different people, right?
Yes.
Most people that come to us want that positive pregnancy test. They want to hold that baby in their arms. But for some people it looks different than that, and it's really important that the process be designed for their best outcome, not necessarily for the outcome that they think they want.
Yes. That's, let's go back to the protocols because the personalization and the clinical experience. So, the first question, because you've been at this for 15 years and really 20 years as a naturopath, what are you seeing now that you didn't see 15 years ago in terms of your cases? How different do they look? What are you seeing different in the space?
I think in the space there's one thing that is drastically on a rise, which I am kind of scared to admit, which is mold.
Yep.
And the number of times that we often pick up, like, oh, is this mold? Could this be mold? We're asking that question so, so, so often. And we're finding actually most of the time that answer is yes when we ask that question. It's kind of mind boggling how much mold is affecting our environment. And when we talk about safety and how safe a person's body feels, I think mold is like one of the biggest, fastest anti-save, like it's
Sure. Yep.
putting the body into overwhelm very quickly. And the body goes, oh, not safe, not time to get pregnant, and it shuts it all down. So mold is a really big one. And then I think in terms of how my practice has been evolving, I think we just keep seeing tougher and tougher cases. The longer you're doing this, the more people are like, oh, you can help me. It's been 25 years. I haven't had anyone 25 years,
10
but
years usually is like when someone comes for 10 years, even those couples, you're like, ugh, you've been through so much.
right.
Like 10
And
years is a long time. It's
mhm,
a decade, you know?
yeah, yeah, 10 years is definitely a long time. I think there is this like kind of, I've been to five other naturopaths. No one's been able to figure it out. Like, maybe you can help me. And I'm like, can you give me their names? Because I really trust the naturopaths that are around me. So it becomes like, okay, I have to take a step back and really look at like, what am I going to do different? Is there actually something that I'm going to do different? Because if not, then we're just spinning wheels and like, are
Hmm.
they going to get any different outcome with us than they have with every other naturopath that they've worked with? So there's a bit of, I think when I first started, it wasn't common for people to have undergone 12 IVF cycles. That to me is like, it should be outlawed. There's no
For
world
sure.
in which anybody needs 12 IVF cycles, but I've met so many of those women, and believe it or not, they get pregnant. But I it is so hard to come back from that. It is an uphill struggle to be like, you've been doing IVF for average 7 to 8 years. Now you want to do natural, and your body's wrecked from all of the hormones that you've been put under.
Mhm.
And that wouldn't be common back then. I think
Yeah,
three
for sure.
to six cycles was more average. I think people are just pushing it way harder.
I am seeing a little bit of a turnaround now where before even considering, and this is part of my content making is like, hey, I want you to understand why you need IVF in the first place. If you haven't pooped in a box ever and you're spending 20 grand per cycle, that doesn't make sense that we're doing things backwards. And there's so much research and so much information around how the microbiome is impacting literally every single aspect of your health, let alone fertility. So, what I'm seeing is this turnaround that women are going, wait a minute, I don't want to keep doing multiple cycles. And
Yeah,
so they stop at like one, two, or three,
yeah.
or they even before they consider it, they're just like, I want to try naturally. So my hope is that, those poor women who went through the 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 cycles, it's like, who
Yeah,
let you do that, you know?
yeah, yeah. Like, and what's interesting is they'll hop around. So they've only done like 3 cycles per clinic, but
Right. And that's part
they've
of the
had
problem.
cumulative 12 cycles.
Yes.
And you're like, well, the doctor didn't get to dial in their protocols. You really could pause after each cycle and evaluate what happened, like what could have been better, what could have been done differently. And I think that there's a lot of information that we can gather from just going through one IVF cycle. And that's a very expensive test. We have hundreds of functional tests that we could do before that, that
Yeah.
not like will cost a fraction of the price of a $20,000 IVF cycle. So for sure, I think there's just so much that we have to offer that I think we could I think the awareness is raising, and I think that women, the younger women for sure, are waking up a lot faster and being like, I'm not putting my body through this. This is ridiculous. So I hope that keeps going, and I hope that trend turns towards let's optimize before we go to IVF. Not that IVF is bad, let's just be more successful with it faster.
Yeah, 1,000%. And there was something that you said around like, a full IVF cycle is going to give you a lot of information. And then before we even go to that, understanding what's actually happening in the body,
Mhm.
is talking about a visceral response. Like how many women are just numbing themselves going through the process because they feel pressure from their partner, they feel pressure from their family, they feel pressure from their friends because all their friends are getting pregnant. And every time, I talk through the cycles and understand, it was like, yeah, I didn't think it was going to work. I was stressed the whole time. I hated my doctor. And it was like, you can't do this really vulnerable big procedure when you have never met the doctor, or you don't like them, or you don't feel good at the clinic is always dismissing you. I just think those things are women, my powerhouse women who just push through. It's like, yeah, this is something that we don't want to do in this space. Like it's the opposite energy of fertility and creation and the feminine energy.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk about the protocols because I love what you said at the beginning that here's the research, here's what's working in clinic. And I think that's really important for us, whether that's a drug or a supplement. I think research is so limited with some of the, even the supplementation, you'll read a paper and they're like, after 200 milligrams of NAC supplementation, we saw this improvement when they supplemented it for 21 days. And you're like, 21 days at 200 milligrams? Like, that's what are you out of your mind? Like, imagine we actually used a proper dose and then what kind of NAC? What's the brand? What's the,
So
did that person handle NAC versus maybe they just need straight up glutathione or maybe they need some glycine with that or whatever. So I do really find that research is limited, but talk to me about your clinical kind of experience and practice and what you're seeing and how you are curating these protocols when we're keeping the research in mind, because obviously that's great and it's it's what gives the authority and the backbone to the medicine that we do, but keeping in mind that like if I took 75 milligrams of DHEA, I would grow a beard. Like I'm not even, I would just like break out, grow a beard. I would feel terrible.
right. Yeah.
2.5, even though my DHA has come up low. I've done 2.5 milligrams
Oh
for
yeah.
like 3 months, and that was plenty for me.
Oh yeah, yeah,
You
and
know?
that's exactly what we find is like DHEA especially, like we can go super low doses, 1 to 3 milligrams, and get really good results from it very quickly.
Hmm.
So, like, in what world did we think 75 milligrams was a good idea? For sure. For us, I have found that when we really understand what is the root cause, like where are we starting out, and can we do that analysis in a way that is concerted effort? So, our process is like we want to quickly analyze a whole bunch of things all at once without doing 50 different tests, right?
Hmm.
And if we're able to do that, then we have a much clearer understanding of okay, you have adrenal issues, thyroid issues, gut issues, microbiome is off, vaginal is off, and it sounds like a very long list of things. But once we have that, we can slowly chip away at all of those things and kind of direct the effort of the body in a very specific way. So
Hmm.
when we're working on adrenals, we're just doing adrenal support. And the bodies, a lot of the women are like, oh my God, you're going to slow this down so much. It's like, no, this is actually going to move you way faster because when your body's getting multiple signals of lots of things happening all at once, the body's like, well, I don't, which one am I paying attention to?
Right.
What are you telling me to do? Right?
Yep.
It's sort of like directing your assistant to do 85 things all at once. And your assistant would literally like brain fried, I don't know what to do, so I'm going to do nothing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they'll like complete one
Priority.
task, but very poorly, and then move on to the next.
Right,
And
right. Like instead, what is the priority? How do we want to address these things in the like starting at the foundation of what makes the body function properly, right? Gut health is going to be way more vital than giving you egg quality supplements because if your gut health is shot, sorry, you're not going to absorb any single nutrient that you put into your body. So, like thinking of it as foundations and kind of building up rather than trying to hit it all at once simultaneously seems to work really, really well for us. And then our protocols are really designed based on I call it like research informed rather than research based, right? So research based is like we read the research, we follow it exactly to the T, and we hope for the best. Research informed is we take the research into account, but we filter it through clinical experience, through what's happening for you, the person in front of us, and what's the your body giving as feedback through the process. And as we're going through that, we may say, actually, research says 400 milligrams of CoQ10, but you actually need 800 milligrams of CoQ10 based on your epigenetics, your gut, your et cetera, et cetera. So it's being able to drive a process for someone based on what's happening under the surface, and clarity about that,
Yep.
to me, changes everything. And that's, I'm sure you're the same way, is like, we probably get better results for people because it's not some cookie cutter, like, here, take all of this and hope for the best. And like, people are already doing that. They already come in with the, here's my 400 supplements that I take every day, and can you tell me what else to take? And I'm like, oh God, let's just get rid of
Right.
95.
Yeah, like most of these are overwhelming. It's the right therapy at the right time for the right person.
Right.
Tell me, what are the assessments that you are doing?
Yeah, the first one is something that we just launched. People can actually go and do this for free. This is like more the DIY approach, if I might call it that.
Sure.
It is madrefertility.com. It's a free assessment. And I was just talking to someone in that community recently, and her was basically like, she's been to 3 different doctors, hormone specialists, to try and figure out what's happening with her hormones. She's not trying to get pregnant, she's postpartum, but she's trying to figure out what's happening with her hormones. She did the assessment. In 15 minutes, it told her that there's a very good chance that she may have PCOS. This is not a diagnostic tool by any means, but that might be happening. She brings it to her doctor. Her doctor's like, oh, yeah, that's what's happening. She's like, wait, what? You didn't think about this? And he is like, no, that didn't cross my mind, but that makes so much sense. So, tool is something that I've created because I was finding, like, people are, especially fertility people, they're like, I want to be in the driver's seat. I want to know all the information myself first. So we created this tool as a resource for people to better understand what might be happening in their bodies. It's not diagnostic. It's not going to say, you have SIBO or whatever, but
Right.
it will flag like, hey, you might have some gut issues. Might want to go look at that. So that's the first, like, starting point. If someone has just started out on their journey, there's a good, like, diet, lifestyle, a few supplements that will help them along their process. But if they're deeper into that process, then we can take that assessment and then pull it into, okay, what are we going to do with that assessment? And we can say, oh, these were the things red flagged for you. Great, let's get the specific test that will support or disprove this theory. And we do that testing. Then the testing helps us figure out, like, here are all of the things that we're saying are potential issues for you specifically as a couple. We're doing this on the guys too. So as a couple, these are the things that we're highlighting for you. And then if you want to work with us, we'll kind of put it into a step-by-step process that takes you from start to finish, ideally in 4 to 6 months, which is often a feat if we can do it that quickly. But you know, bodies heals at a different pace, so we're going as fast as possible with the respect for, hey, sometimes hormones take a
Sure.
little while, and
Yeah, I mean, I always say you
you know
want to
what?
go as quickly as you can, but we can't out nature, so
Yeah.
you depends on the person. It also depends on, some of my cases when I think about complex and there's a lot going on, and whether it's like stage 4 endometriosis, or someone has over 100 pounds to lose, or like these really chronic autoimmune condition, adenomyosis, whatever it is, I think to turn the ship around in 6 months is almost unrealistic, or even premature ovarian insufficiency. If you look at the ovary and how long it actually takes for that egg to mature and to be recruited, it's closer to 9 to 12 months. The 3 months is you're impacting the pool that's getting ovulated in the next 3 months. But if we are trying to draw from a pool that we cannot see on the ultrasounds yet, or that we cannot, it's going to be much longer. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it really depends on the person. And then when I do my protocols, there is like, let's get you started and let's see how you handle X, Y, and Z. In one of my cases, I was like, listen, you're doing amazing, but If we don't speed things up, we're going to run out of time. And, you lost 20 pounds in the last 6 months. That's really good. We have 100 more to go. If we break that up, that's 3 years. You don't have that kind of time when you're 38. You don't have that kind of time when you've been trying to conceive for already 3 years. Like you just don't have that kind of time. And so sometimes this baby's soul that's not even in the physical form, I think, asks us to do things that we are, it just challenges us. And then as I present it and I say, do you think we can do this? And usually there's a cry and there's a frustration and let's try and let's go, because there's still no guarantee. But worst case scenario is you get really healthy. Like for someone to lose 100 pounds is like, wow, you're a completely different person now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, the protocols, I don't know what you think about this or if you see this as well, where women more particularly, but maybe just as a couple, I need this protocol so it fixes this. And they kind of get attached to the protocol and that it's going to fix the issue. And so then what they're doing is just looking for another protocol
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to essentially, like, I see the goal of the protocol is it's going to change and shift and transform you.
Yeah.
So then you land in a different spot and then we can figure out another protocol and adjustments. But that protocol is designed to like change something pretty drastic within your system that you feel different.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of times the protocols are driven at what I call the top level treatments, right? You can have an egg quality protocol that could be the same for a lot of people. It's probably not going to be, but it could theoretically, like I could see a world in which
Yep.
CoQ10 and, like the basic fundamentals are going to stay the same, perhaps. Now, that protocol is only effective if you have the right digestion, absorption, adrenal function, thyroid function, all
Or
the
even environment. You were talking about mold. It's like if
mold.
someone's
Yeah,
living in
yeah,
mold,
yeah.
it's so
You could
hard for the
take
body to
all the egg
shift.
quality supplements, but if you have mold in your environment, sorry, it's not doing anything. Your
Or
body's
it's
like
it's keeping you
trying to
steady.
fight
It's keeping you steady.
barely. I feel
Barely,
like
yeah.
mold just like pokes through all of it. Like
Yeah.
symptom wise, it's pretty intense. So it's going to be really hard for your body to adapt through all of those things, even with the perfect egg quality support. Or a guy that has a varicocele whose sperm morphology is 1%, which I don't know about you, but we've been seeing a shit ton of that lately. And that, to me, I'm like, you got to fix the varicocele. And they go to their urologist, and the urologist is like, just leave it alone. It's fine. And I'm
It's
like,
not that bad.
no, no, like get rid of the varicocele. And I'm like, please find a doctor that will do this for you because I'm not a surgeon, but I know for a fact that there is no amount of supplements that I'm going to give you that is going to improve your sperm morphology if you have a varicocele. I know that for certain,
Yeah.
right?
Well, there's a physical obstruction.
Yeah, like there's no way you're gonna like compensate for this. So we just like advocate really hard for them to get to the root of it. And sometimes the root of it requires addressing the physical component with surgery. And
Yeah.
they will often, a lot of these guys will just keep waiting. And they're like, yeah, 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 I'm going to do it. And I'm like, listen, your partner is 40. You're either doing this now so that you give her the chance of getting pregnant, or just admit that you guys don't want to get pregnant and then we can move on. And he'll be like, what? No, why are you saying it like that? And I'm like, because you're not taking action on the one thing that is going to make a difference. And he's like,
The
oh,
biggest difference, anyways.
okay. Finally, I get it. Okay, I'm gonna go find a doctor that's gonna do the surgery. So this is, I think, like to the point of you cannot have one protocol. You need that protocol is constantly evolving with the
Yes.
individual, with the most important priority that we have to work on right now. And once that priority is dealt with, you shouldn't need all those supplements. It's time to move on to something else. So a lot of times people will get attached, and we've seen people get attached to Usually it's the testosterone support supplements for the women. They're like, oh my God, I feel so good. Can I just keep taking this? And I'm like, nope, your hormones are good. You're done. And they're always surprised when they like sustain the feeling good. But in the moment, they're like, I don't know if I can get rid of this. Like, I've never felt so good. And like we're teaching the body how to do something different, to feel different. And if we're
Well, to
doing
function properly, I think that's like I look around, we go to the beach, and I'm like, 80% of these people would say they're healthy. And right, like they would
yeah,
just be
yeah,
like, yeah, I'm healthy. I don't have any problems. Nobody's dying. And I'm like, since when has that been the standard? Because when I look around, I was like, nobody's healthy. Like everyone is, whether it's extra weight or really depleted, and pale and all these kinds of things where you're like, I did that standard really drop.
yeah,
And that's where my education has been around in the fertility space. It's like, well, pregnancy is a natural process. So if it's not happening, something is missing. That doesn't mean we need to, poo-poo on the fertility and IVF clinics. It just means that we should really understand what's happening in the body, because even in the fertility clinic, if you think about it, they expect the body to just take over and do its thing. And it's
hmm
like, right. So we know intuitively that the body has these processes, and once we get it to a certain place, it can just do it and we can trust it.
hmm
But why can't we use that same logic for getting pregnant?
hmm
So it's like, if it's not doing it, what part of it that is it not doing? Is it that ovulation is not strong? Is it that fertilization is not happening? Is it that implantation is not going on?
right.
Like, is it the microbiome that's not matching? And then you look at the seminal microbiome and the vaginal microbiome, and you're like, this is a hot mess. Like, no wonder it's not matching, and let alone all the nutrient depletion that's causing. So I'd love to apply that same logic. It was like, oh, once I'm pregnant, then the body will just take over and I trust it. Was like, well,
Right.
like, yeah, cool. We do trust it. So why don't we trust it to do the first part
Mhm.
too? You know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like even there's a certain assumption to what you were saying earlier, like the IVF clinics are assuming that everyone's hormones are at some level that they can like then stimulate with more hormones. And to a certain extent, IVF docs are like, well, we're going to overpower, like, we're going to give you enough hormones to make it work, right? But what I've found is that when people have optimized before they go into the IVF clinic, they get very different results,
Yeah.
right? People that have been through IVF cycles where they got 0 to 3 eggs, maybe, and none of them fertilized. And then they go in after all of the things that we've done and they get 6 to 10 eggs, all of them fertilize, all of them are good quality. They're like, oh my God, that's a fluke, or that's the hormones we gave them. And I'm like, no, actually, that's not the hormones you gave them.
That has
You
nothing
gave
to do
them
with the
those things,
hormones.
right?
Well, and
Like,
then they'll say something like, there is no research behind a supplement that's known to support fertility, and it's like, also not true.
right.
And to be honest, if there was no research to support any of the stuff that we're doing, I would be like, it's working. I don't care. Like, I just like, what do I care? You telling me that there is no paper. It's like, you don't need permission to go outside and know that I feel better when or when I take
Yeah.
this
Or
supplement.
like,
Like, I just don't
it's
need that
something.
research paper because I feel it in my body. And at some point, we have to stop just like thinking about things all the time and have to start feeling and integrating it into the system. And like, how do you actually feel? And this, my example on people on the beach, or a woman that's struggling with infertility, or a man that has low sperm quality, he doesn't know what he's feeling anymore. He's a numbness. And so when we put them on all of these things, they're like, I feel amazing. It's like, yeah, that's how you're supposed to feel. Like, that's what normal hormone levels are. That's like what it's like to get sunlight into your eyeballs before you stare into a screen all day. Like, that's how you're supposed to feel. We're just kind of helping the body remember that, as
Yeah.
opposed to recreating a new feeling. Like, it's not a drug that you're addicted to nature, then like, my God, please. We'll all be much better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I think what you're describing, a lot of the couples that I've seen will say, oh, isn't that just part of being old? And I'm like, you're 32. What do you mean old? Like, no, you
Even if
should
you're
feel
40
scrappy
and
when
you
you're
don't have children, I'm like, why are you tired? You
32.
don't have children. Like the only fatigue that I have is because of my children and the demands. Do you know what I mean? Like yes, I like you work, but then when you stop working, you don't stop working because now you have to take care of the house and all the, and like there's such a difference between a 40-year-old who's tired because they have children and a demanding career and that versus like a 40-year-old that doesn't have children and you're just exhausted all the time. It's like
Mhm.
that's not good, right? Speaking about like mitochondrial function and vitality and energy, that tells me a lot about the fertility state when you're fatigued, when you're tired, when you don't have muscle mass. Like those are big pieces,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
clues for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like your body is always telling you. And unfortunately, we are, as a society, not necessarily educated on how to interpret what our body is telling us. And even I'll put myself in that basket. Like, I need other friends, colleagues to be like, oh, have you considered this thing? Because certainly I'm not always like recognizing everything that I feel as, oh, this is a clue or my body's trying to tell me something. Like I'm not constantly interpreting it from that way. And for the average population, I think that that's even worse. Like we're
Yeah,
we're
for
not
sure.
taught how to do that.
Mhm.
So we need to really have something like a resource, a tool that
A
helps
mentor, a coach, like I think,
something to
yeah,
be.
I have a mentor, I have coaches in every, like in different aspects, and I always have, and I think I just realized that after doing it, you said something about like the DIY approach. I actually like do not recommend that at all in the fertility space, especially if you've been trying to conceive for any amount of time. And it's
Oh
like if
yeah.
you want to have a healthy baby in 2026, like I have patients who worked with me for a year and we did some fantastic work and they still had complications during pregnancy.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
it's not because we missed something or it was like the body is the most stressful point at the end of pregnancy. Like literally every system is stretched. And then you go into the postpartum period and this really big shift in hormones for women, like all kinds of stuff will come out.
Mhm.
And as a practitioner, I just like waiting for it so then I can help versus like we could have done something different to prevent it. Because sometimes you can't see it coming until it's right close. And then we just support the best that we can. So
Right.
it's a DIY approach it can only take you so far.
Yeah, and
And if
I
you've taken it and then you're like, I'm not anywhere,
mm,
great. Then find a mentor versus like, I'm broken and I don't need to try anymore.
yeah, and like I agree with you 100%. This tool that I was talking about
Mhm.
is a starting point. And for a
Yes.
lot of people, it's the tool that will open their eyes to like, oh shit, there's other things happening here that I did not consider. And
Yes.
hopefully, um, they will use that information wisely and put it into action. Now,
Yeah.
the DIY approach is good for someone who is in that, and that's really what this tool was created for, is that like 25 to 28-year-old that is just starting out on their fertility journey, that is trying to put the pieces together. Their doctor's like, try for 12 months and come back. To me, I'm like, 12 months of just trying is enough to like stress your body out, have you like on the floor crying every month, and enough to like have the micro trauma build up that it's already negatively affecting your
For
fertility
sure.
versus you do use the tool, do some DIY things, and if at that point it's not working, then you find a person
You're already ahead of the game. Yeah, you're already ahead of the game because you're aware.
and you didn't waste 12 months just trying, right? And
Mhm.
like that's the dumbest advice that I feel like the fertility world gives. It's like, oh, just try and then we'll put you into IVF. Like, well, that's dumb.
Yeah.
Like you
I
could
like
have
I genuinely
wait
didn't
for 12.
realize that that was the advice until my and my sister was 36, 37, trying to conceive her first one. And
Uh-huh.
so the advice then if you're over 35 is to try for 6
6
months.
months. Yeah.
And I am seeing is coming out to the surface is that oh, fertility clinics are just IVF clinics. Because what couples were thinking like, okay, we'll try on our own 6 to 12 months, but then we'll go and we'll get help. It's
Hmm.
like, no, you're not getting help. They're just signing you up for IVF.
Right.
And so
Right.
then couples are like, oh, okay, I guess IVF is the next step. I thought there's some other things that we can do.
Right.
And unfortunately, fertility is this very like vulnerable state for the couple, but especially for the woman, where, her emotions are really high. And then we don't tend to make decisions that are rational when we're in high emotional state.
Of
And
course.
then you feel pressure, whether it's your friends, your family, your husband, whatever. And so then you're sitting in front of this doctor, and that's the only solution that's being offered to you. You go, okay, well, we've already been trying for a year. I already feel like I'm behind now. I'm super anxious about it.
Right.
Let's do it. And so the awakening that I'm seeing now is women are going, wait a minute, why are you telling me to try for 12 months when you are just going to give me the same damn prescription?
Right.
Oh, do 3 IUIs because insurance covers it and then go IVF.
Right.
Don't do the 3 IUIs because that's the next best step in your fertility journey. Do the IUIs because the IVF will not be covered by insurance unless you've done the IUI. We're letting someone in an office determine what your fertility journey should look like based on how much money they want to give you. Like, it's just very broken. We're
It's
very far away from how it actually works.
absolutely. I think it is, and that's exactly like the people that I want to get to are the people that are in that boat that are being told, just keep trying, it'll be fine, everything's normal, quote unquote, right? Like they're being put in
Yes.
this box of you're okay, and then all of a sudden you're not okay. Something's really broken, and the only solution is a $20,000 high intensity solution that pumps you full of hormones and
One
like
has real
30
implications.
something percent success rate, which is abominable to me.
Yeah.
So it is like, I think we really have this window of time where people are looking for something. And then the other thing that I've found in this space is like the people that are looking to Facebook groups that
Yes.
are like, oh, my cousin's friends, blah, 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 took this and maybe you should try it, right? Like, that's not the way, guys. Like,
No,
it's really
that's
taking,
not what natural medicine is.
no, like, just because she took it doesn't say anything about what's going on for you and whether or not it's going to help you.
Yeah.
And then the third piece is really like waiting and waiting to do any level of testing. And
Yeah.
that to me is also like, I went through this. I was 36 when I first started. I was like exploring conception, and I went into my OB and I was like, "Hey, can we just do some hormone tests to like get the ball rolling?" And she's like, "Well, have you been trying for 12 months?" And I'm like, "Trying what?" She's like, "Trying to have a baby." And I'm like, "No, I'm
Let me look
trying
at my
not to have a
hormones.
baby
Yeah.
till I'm ready." And she's like, "Well, so yeah, that's just not gonna happen." And 45 minutes, I like literally sat there and argued with her for 45 minutes. She was livid. Finally, she's like, "Just to get you out of my office, I will order those tests. It's gonna cost you $2,000." And I was like, "Are you what? $2,000? Like, I will order them myself for 125. Like, really?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, that's what insurance is going to charge you because insurance doesn't pay for your testing at this stage." And I was like, "That's ridiculous. I'll just order it myself." I never saw her again because I was
Right.
like, she just does not like, that's not the brainwave that I'm on. But like, it would just save us so much struggle to be able to have access to the testing, to have a better understanding of what these tests mean, put it through a filter that is not normal, quote unquote, but actually optimal.
Yep.
And the same for the guys, right? Like, let's not wait 5 years before we start testing guys for sperm. Like, that should be
Yeah.
a first
I have
step.
a couple of 10 years of struggling. They didn't test his DNA fragmentation until 8 years. You guys, like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
right.
And what I will say with complex cases, it's rarely just one thing, you
Hmm.
know? And when we're talking about there's a root cause to your fertility struggle, I'm like, there's root causes.
Yeah,
There's many different things
there's
that got
often,
you. And so we have to test many different things because if I just look at the Dutch, if I just look at vaginal microbiome, if I just look at a stool analysis, I'm getting
there's something.
fragmentation of information. It's
Yeah.
valuable information, but I always look at fertility as this, 2000 piece puzzle. The first thing you do when you're doing a really complex puzzle is you dump it on a clear surface and you flip every piece together open so you can see it, and then you got to drew patterns. Oh, this is all the yellows, these are all the greens, these are the blues, so then you can start putting it together. That's what testing is. And so if I just test one corner, I'm like, okay, great, I can see what's going on over here, but this iceberg, that's underneath, no idea,
Yeah.
no idea. And that just extends, I'm guessing. And
Yep.
it's, I think sometimes I want to say, like, you get better at guessing as a clinician the more testing you do, and the more you work with yourself and obviously patients, but the testing will just cut through the noise pretty quick, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And like it's better for it to say like for you to get a negative where there's nothing happening
That
than
still rules it out. That still
yeah,
rules it
exactly.
out. Like,
Like, oh, it's
great,
not
that's
the
not a
vaginal
problem. I don't have to
microbiome.
think about it.
Right. And vaginal microbiome is the funnest one. I don't know about you, but for me, like we started vaginal microbiome testing on everyone across the board about 5 or 6 years ago. And it was because one before that we were testing selectively. Like, oh, you
Right.
have
If you had history, yeah.
let's get you tested. Then for a few people, I just was running them because I couldn't figure out why their immune system was acting out of whack. And sure enough, vaginal microbiome infections galore. And I was like, oh my God, you have no symptoms. And a
Yeah.
lot of people,
Except infertility.
yeah,
Like,
right.
that's your
Symptom
symptom.
is
It's
infertility.
infertility. Yeah. Like, I have a couple right now, a huge ureaplasma infection. She has zero symptoms except endometriosis and infertility. And
Yeah.
like we had to do some like spike protein clearance and some inflammation stuff. And then sure enough, as soon as we cleared that, and it was just a couple of weeks, her symptoms of ureaplasma started to come in. And you could see the bladder and the issues that, and I was like, and there you go. And now that infection is ready to be addressed.
Uh-huh.
But before that, it was so suppressed. She had zero symptoms. She
Right.
didn't, it was like, oh, I mean, I go pee frequently, but I
Like
drink a
not
lot of
really.
water.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Is it though? Or is it your bladder trying to kick something out, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. And I saw this woman similarly, 5 years of infertility, three IVF cycles, I think one or two recurrent losses. And then she came, we're doing this, we did all of the testing. Her hormones are fine. Her vaginal microbiome, like ureaplasma, Gardnerella, and Fanny Hessa, the three that are like anti-fertility. And
And research,
proven, right? Yes,
yes,
big
research proven. Yeah.
and she was like, "Really? Why didn't my doctors test me? Like, why isn't anyone else testing this?" And I was like,
Do
"I can't
you
tell you
hear
why."
that?
What's that?
Did you hear that?
No, what?
I don't know. Someone was calling me, but I don't know from where. Sorry. I don't know what it is. It was just like a sound. If you didn't hear it, that's good. We'll cut this part out.
Right. So then I'm like trying to explain to her, like, they didn't test it. I don't know why, but we find this often where there's hidden infections. I have never seen a microbiome worse than hers. It's like
I've
there's no
seen some pretty crazy ones, like 900 times the amount. Like, I'm just like,
oh,
I don't understand.
I haven't seen many with zero lactobacillus. I was like, oh my God, what?
Oh,
So,
we see so many. I don't, even if there's no pathogenic, there's so many that are at like zero of beneficial bacteria. Like zero. Yeah.
wow, that's
Yeah.
insane. And it's like, yeah, there's just so many things that I think we should and can address if we understand what all the things are that are happening under the surface.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and don't get me, I love the idea of this app. What I don't want people to think is, oh, let me just take this supplement and then I'll fix this thing.
Yeah,
Because
no, no,
when
no.
we sit down in front of it, like the app is designed to bring something to your awareness. So
Yeah,
you go, oh, I'm not crazy. There is something wrong. And these are early signs of PCOS or early signs of endometriosis or early signs of, Hashimoto's and autoimmune conditions. So I can get ahead of it instead of
yeah,
Wait until you're in the fertility journey. And this is the millennial generation. We were on birth control and then, oh, just get off birth control and start trying. And then you start trying and you realize that, oh, I have PCOS. I've had it my whole life. I just didn't know because I was on birth control. Oh, I have endometriosis. Oh, I have all of these things. I just didn't know about them because it wasn't a problem because I wasn't trying to conceive. I just had painful periods. I just had stubborn acne. I just had hair growth. I just had, you know what I mean? It was like, I just had X, Y, and Z. It was like all of those symptoms that you're describing are all early signs of the disease progressing.
Mhm.
And then by the time you're in your late 30s, early 40s, that disease has been progressing for decades. And so, can we get ahead of it? And can we get you, as soon as you get a little bit of symptoms, going, I don't want to live with this.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're like, yeah, I don't want you to either. I got lots of stuff you can do. We have
Yeah.
so many things in our toolbox. You do not have to live with that.
Yep. Absolutely. And the app will tell you like, hey, this is it it actually filters for people that should not use the app as their go-to,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
Like there, if you have endometriosis, PCOS, recurrent pregnancy loss, complex infertility, these are all scenarios that we're actually actively screening for and saying you need a practitioner. This is beyond an app to address.
Yes.
You need to work with someone who can actually like do the lab testing, get you on a plan, walk you through the step by
No AI can help.
like
I'm
all
going to
the
say that,
right.
please
Yeah,
do not
don't put
push
it
it
into
into
chat.
AI.
Don't put it
AI
into
still
chat.
thinks that over 15 milligrams of zinc is a really high dose and you can't do that. And I'm like, come on, like, how can I train it to do something? It's like, it just can't comprehend it. It's like, no, I don't understand. It's like, right, because you're a
Really? I didn't
robot.
know that about the zinc. That's
Well,
interesting.
like there's certain some, but like zinc is one of them. And my patients were like, my AI told me I shouldn't be taking this much zinc because it's going to throw off my. And I was like, listen, with all due respect, it's like, I get it. The robot is a robot.
Yeah,
It's a
medical
robot.
degree, big
Like, I don't
experience.
even care medical degree. It's like, there's a human portion that they'll never understand. Like, how many people are fighting with their robots right now because they're like, you said this wrong. Right? Like, I wanted it like this and
Yeah.
it's going in a different direction. It's like, we have to, it's a powerful tool. But when it comes to understanding the human body and being a human body is like,
Mm.
oh, we got to take that advice with a grain of salt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Dr. Aumatma, thank you so much for being here. You're amazing. Tell everybody where you can find you and if you have any other last words of wisdom
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
share.
The best place to connect is Instagram at Holistic Fertility Doctor. Reach out, have a chat. Let's connect.
And then the app, say that one more time.
The app will be madrefertility.com. Madre
Perfect.
is in mother in Spanish.
Oh, I love it. There you go. I was going to ask, I'm like, why Madre? But that makes a lot of sense. No, thank you so much for the work that you do. I know we are fighting the good fight every day and sharing your wisdom. And yeah, I hope we can connect again soon.
Yeah, thank you for having me.